one of the most terrifying things I've ever done on camera for the internet. I've never before been accused of picking timely topics, and I see absolutely no reason to change that now. Last week I finished marathoning the Working series, or more aptly, I finished watching the most recent season, which was labeled www.wagnaria. It was a delightful show filled with all the same quirks, all the same laughs, all the same goofy characters that I've come to love with it so far, and it's part of the reason why it's one of my favorite anime of all time. But after I finished watching the season, or quite possibly the series finale, I'm not actually sure anymore, I found myself mulling over some thoughts. Something didn't sit quite right, in all honesty. Something didn't feel right when I finished watching it, and I wasn't really sure what it was. When Season 3 of Working ended, I was virtually in tears. Tears of joy, mind you, with how the perfect, imperfect relationships all found their conclusion, all the characters were finding their happiness, all that wonderful stuff. It was gorgeous, it was beautiful, I was almost crying. Not nearly as hard as I cry when watching the movie Wolf Children, because that's a movie that's going to make me cry every time. That being said, WWW, less so. Why? Was it because the fourth season wasn't as good? Was it because the characters weren't as memorable or as interesting as in the first series? I mean, the Office romances were very clearly denoted right from the get-go. You could draw very obvious lines from character to character for all the main cast, and you could figure out who's going to end up with who by the end of the series. Was it too obvious, maybe? Next page. Reading around online revealed that the series WWW was actually written before the main Working series that most fans are familiar with today. And while it's not made abundantly clear, the location of WWW's restaurant is actually different than the one in the main Working series. Even when you line them up side by side, you can't really tell. It's marginal differences. This is an important fact to keep in mind, as most of the reviews I read for WWW only confirmed my suspicions. I wasn't the only one who was feeling this. Most people expected more of the same from the first series, and that just wasn't delivered upon. And this is because the two series are fundamentally different at like their most rudimentary levels. They're different genres almost. They're almost different shows. Let me explain. From the main series, we became more accustomed to the main cast, which, while smaller in cast size, felt more nuanced, felt more complex. This led to giving Wagnaria creator Karina Takatsu. I really wish I had a teleprompter, because this would make my life a whole lot easier. Oh my god, that would actually work. More freedoms with the characters, to put them in more unique and interesting situations, and allow us as the audience to explore their small little quirks and little, I don't want to say nuances, because I said that earlier, and I'm just kind of drawing a blank for other words to go with, but you know what I'm talking about. You're smart. Yeah, Whereas in WWW, we had a much more varied and much larger cast to draw from, which gave us more entertaining conundrums, and you could really ham up the situations with a large cast this size. That being said, we didn't get the same level of character growth and development that we became accustomed to in the first series, and this is for the main reason that really kneecaps WWW. It was shorter by a considerable amount, whereas Series 1 was 3 seasons long, 13 episodes, 14 episodes, 14 episodes. That's pretty hefty to get some really good character interactions, to get some really good character drama going on. WWW had 1 season, and by episode 14, everything was all neatly wrapped up and completed. There was nowhere else to go with the cast, because it was done. Because of this reason, everything felt a bit more rushed in WWW. How many W's was that? The relationships had much less time to feel like they were developing organically. They felt a lot more ham-handed, a lot more paint by numbers, the kind of thing you would expect, just the quick notes of what happened and where it progressed. Granted, this may be because of the choices that the anime writer Takao Yoshikoda, nope, that's not even close, Takao Yoshioka. These may have been a reflection of the decisions he made for the show, and in turn, he may have chosen to simplify a much more complex arrangement and much more dynamic character interactions from the web series into anime format. It's possible. With a more compact series, you have to really capitalize on the laughs and on the gags. You have to keep things fast-moving and fast-paced so you don't lose interest. At the same time, you still need the build-up and the release time for jokes, or else they lose their impact. Herein lies the issue. We expected WWW to be the same as Wagnaria, the first series. In actuality, these are two completely different shows. Wagnaria was more of a slice-of-life rom-com, whereas WWW was a bit more of a gag anime with romance thrown in to assist with the jokes. And to be completely honest, WWW series did keep the laughs coming. The laughs were great, and honestly, it was one of the main reasons I was so glued to the show. I wasn't as invested in the characters' relationships, so much I was invested in seeing the ridiculous situations they're going to be getting themselves into next. The silly moments and the absurdities that were just inherent to the show. I mean, frankly, how many times did Hagashida die anyway? Like 6-ish. And if you really want to get a good feel for how these two series are completely different, all you gotta do is listen to the opening theme from these two series. Take, for example, the opening theme from Wagnaria Season 1. The first theme, Someone Else, for the Season 1 of Wagnaria, was a lot more composed, but also much more playful. The other theme, I Catch Too Much, is more frantic, is more high energy, and a bit more explosive at times, and these are really reflective of the nature of the shows. For the most part, anime choose their OPs very carefully, unlike Western shows, for the most part. Not always. 9 out of 10 times. In conclusion, Working and www.wagnaria are two completely different shows. The fact that so many people are disappointed with the second series is only because we weren't ready, outside of people who have read the web series, that we were getting ready for two completely different things. If you keep that in mind, I promise you're going to enjoy WWW a lot more than you think you will. And as always, if you like this video, be sure to leave a big old thumbs up. If you didn't like it, a big old thumbs down works too. Be sure to tune on Tuesdays when I upload, Fridays when Sarah uploads, and join our buddy Jack for gaming on Sundays. Until the next video, TTFN, ta-ta for now.